Western-based Nigerian professionals to basically come back home and develop the country. Is going back to Nigeria an option for you?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm Nigerian born, and like any other Nigerian born, I think once you are Nigerian, you're always a Nigerian. So my heart is in Nigeria 24 hours a day, even though my body is physically outside Nigeria. And the issue of brain drain, I think that's the more technical term for what you mentioned, call for professionals. There is a growing awareness that that we need to stem the exodus of brain drain from Africa. But yet, unfortunately, it's not. We don't understand the ramifications of it, because when you really look at the situation in Africa, in Nigeria, what is happening is when people live there, it creates a massive underclass, and you don't have the people to create the wealth for society, and that's the root cause of the poverty in Africa. Is people, the lack of people with knowledge. When you look around the world, the source of knowledge, of wealth, is really knowledge, because knowledge and information is the engine that creates wealth and therefore drives the economic growth of any nation. So I think there's that growing awareness that we need to acquire expertise and knowledge, but we don't fully appreciate how important it is. At least we don't appreciate it to the extent it's appreciated in Western countries.
What are you prepared to do personally to change that situation?
Well, what I do, I think first and foremost, I'm a scientist. And as a scientist, my priority is to contribute to knowledge, to expand the frontier of knowledge. And when I do that, I'm also helping Africa. The reason is that since 15% of humanity is in Africa, from Africa as of today, so whatever I contribute to science and technology, 15% of it, in a sense, is a contribution to Africa too.
Let's talk about you now. Obviously, a lot of people at home will be interested in your story, and probably will take a long time. But tell us, how did this all happen for you? Is it something you planned all the while, or is this fate?
Well, I think there's a lot of struggle. It's a long story, and it's not something that I can tell in a day. But there's a lot of struggle. It's much more when you are a scientist and you're black, it's twice as difficult. And if you're African, it's even twice as difficult as if you're African American. So we have to struggle, and we have to be 10 times better to get the same accomplished. So I agree with you. It's much more difficult when you are a black and African living in the United States and trying to succeed in scientific research.
If you were to get an offer from the government in Nigeria to come back home and, help develop a science and technology policy, or even help towards developing the country technologically, will you accept it?
Can you repeat the question?
Would you accept an offer to, say, serve in government to help develop Nigeria technologically?
Yes, I will. I think I can contribute in that respect by sharing my knowledge. But science and technology policy is not my first priority.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem as if you see yourself moving back to Nigeria to live. Is it like you feel this infrastructure in Nigeria will not be conducive to your living there? Or why is it? Is there an option for you to go back to Nigeria?
Actually, I think there is a myth. It's a scientific knowledge does not respect geographic domain. So it doesn't really matter where I live, to be honest with you, to create, which is my first thing, my priority is to make scientific discoveries and inventions. And where I live doesn't affect that. It's really who supports and values that kind of endeavor. Okay, but where I live has nothing to do with creation of knowledge. It doesn't affect my performance in my work. So as a scientist, it's a culture where people do not appreciate and fully support the search for new knowledge. And that's what I am about, searching for new knowledge. I'm like an explorer. I'm like Mungo Park. But I'm not explorer of lands, of rivers and oceans, but I'm an explorer of knowledge and ideas.
Now, we like to get personal on this program. Are you encouraging your children to follow in your path?
Well, I only have one child, and he's 12. And it's difficult to say what a child is going to do, but he's a very good student, at top of his class, and he has more potential than I do. But I can't say what he's going to do in the future, but so are other kids too. So it's nothing really unique to my son or to myself. It's something every child has that genius within them. And I think our job as a society is to help harness the genius within each child.
I know the American government, in several sectors has recognized your strides. But in your professional circle, do you feel fully accepted as an accomplished professional?
Yes and no. I'm more accepted when they do not know that I was black, and it was easy at the beginning. In fact, when I got known the first time, people didn't know that I was black, and there was a lot of surprise and shock when they discovered that I was black. But people get used to it, because the work speaks for itself in my own case.
Now, I'm trying to correct some impressions we have. Is it true you got an offer from Bill Gates to work for him after that program with that process computational? I can't remember now. Did you really get an offer from Bill Gates to work for him?
I received many email and telephone calls from people that work at Microsoft, which is Bill Gates' company also. But I myself, I have my own mind of what I want to do, and I don't think it's possible for me to work under Bill Gates.
What is that? What do you want to do?
What? It's difficult to explain also, but basically, you see, doing scientific research, which is what I do, is also personal. You have to have your own personal vision, and I have my own personal vision. It's not something that I think I can put under somebody else's vision.
Now, in our terms, what do you find is the greatest challenge for you? What is that thing you're searching for that you have not achieved yet?
Well, I think you question, you try, as somebody who's, as I said earlier, I'm an explorer of ideas and knowledge. And unlike geography, when an explorer of land can find all the continents on it, but knowledge, we don't know if there is a limit to knowledge. So if there's no limit to knowledge, then it becomes as such that you continue on for the rest of your life.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry, can you do so? I will just take a picture with you.
I read your website, and I think probably maybe someone actually sent me an email, a link. So I went because I work in IT here. Yes.